Good day, everyone. So, before anything else, I would like to welcome everybody to our institution, International Health Link Caregiver Training Center. So, welcome to the family of caregivers here in Azami City. So, your module for today is basic disabled care. So, for your convenience, we divided the topic into three: the basic disabled care 1, and then basic disabled care 2, and of course the 3. So basic disabled care 1 caters the body mechanics and your safety, while the rest, it caters on the transfers and uses of assistive devices, and even your wheelchairs and the range of motion exercises. So just like all other modules here in IHLCTC, you will be receiving a grade. Out of it will be extracted 60% for your skills or return demonstration, and the 40% will be divided from your quizzes and then your final exams. So good luck to everybody, and do make good with your course taken or career of choice, your caregiving. Now, so we're going to proceed with your modules. So we have here your body mechanics and safety. So why is it that your basic disabled care is incorporated or included in your training as a caregiver? Of course, because you are handling clients, or what we call as your patients. Remember that in handling clients, we may be straining ourselves, especially if you're going to let one patient who is unable to do so, or if we're going to assist the patient to certain position wherein a necessary procedure is a must. That is why we have this body mechanics, diba? So body mechanics, in the layman's terms, is how we're going to stand or sit properly, or how we're going to position yourself properly, or the common name, we have your posture. Okay. So body mechanics, defined means the proper use of muscles to move and lift objects and maintain correct posture. Diba? It is a way of using your body so that the work is performed by several groups of muscles, with the strongest ones being used. Okay. So just like, for example, in lifting. So remember, we're going to lift an object by using our body mechanics, in a sense that we're going to distribute all the weight or the weight of the object to our entire body, and of course to maintain balance while doing so. Let's proceed. Your good body mechanics, the way you use your body to walk, sit, stand, lift, push, pull, or move objects is very important, not only at work but in performance of daily activities. Just for example, if you're going to retrieve an object from the floor. So in retrieving the object from the floor, the normal scenario is we're going to bend our waist, but it is a very much no-no or X. Why? Because if we're going to bend our waist, our spine might be, and our spine is prone to have this dislocation. So that's why in lifting or in getting or retrieving something from the floor, we have to bend our knees instead of our waist, which we will be doing while we are going to proceed with this topic. The body is like a finely tuned machine. When not used properly, it performs poorly and eventually breaks down. Diba? Have you seen the spine? Yung spine po natin ay para po siyang nag-interlace with each other. Or not interlace, but it covers one bone. That pointed spine of yours, a vertebrae of yours, covers a certain part of that another way, di ba? If you notice the picture of your spine in our human anatomy, nag-overlap po siya. So, kaya, for example, if you're going to bend your waist, so definitely your spine will also be bending. And if you cannot maintain balance, or if you cannot breathe properly, your bone might be dislocated, and as evidenced by it might hurt another bone of yours, causing now what we call a slip disc. So slip po, yung magiging slip disc po, o yung mag-slip po yung disc niyo po. Okay, so that is why you have to perform body mechanics to prevent this what we call vertebral dislocation or slip disc. Importance of body mechanics to the caregiver: you have to correct muscle groups are used for the task being performed. So dapat, as what I've said, your muscles or your weight, the weight that you are lifting should be equally distributed to your whole body. And then muscles fatigue and strain and body injury are reduced if you are using body mechanics. Okay, so syempre, just like for example, if you are going to do washing of your clothes, diba? And there's a tendency that we're going to squat on the floor. But while squatting on the floor, our back will be, what we call this one, our back is positioned, like a kyphotic position, or what we call is the humpback. So there's a tendency at the end of the day, or at the end of that washing of our clothes, we were going to suffer from back strain because we are not maintaining good and proper posture. Personal safety is maintained, of course. Why? Because your safety is very much a must as a caregiver. So by maintaining safety, so you have to use or position yourself or observe proper body mechanics. And tasks are performed efficiently. Of course, if you are going to maintain proper body mechanics, your task will be smoothly performed, and you will not encounter any problem at all. And of course, if you're going to do so, your work would be smooth and process smooth sailing ba. So there will be no problem at all. Next is to the client. So anxieties and fears about moving are reduced if you are going to use proper body mechanics. So have you noticed during your first encounter with your client, there's a tendency that the client cannot or won't trust you as a caregiver by, as evident by the shown attitude or the way your client is going to hold you as a caregiver. And you would be complaining that, "Ma'am, ang akong client lagi, ma'am, kung ako siya, every time na ako siya asahon, mangusi lagi siya." No, it's not as in mangusi siya, but the client will going to hold you firmly, and even her nails would be stuck on your body, making you suffer from pain out of it. And of course, if the client will do so, meaning he is very much worried that he is going to fall in your arms, diba? Or you're going to fall while you are holding him. So hold good siya nimo. And as a caregiver, you would feel na as in the client is or will hurt you while doing the procedure. So positions changes are made smoothly and without injury. So especially if you have already established rapport or good relationship with your client, so hindi na po problema yung paglilift sa kanya from bed to wheelchair or wheelchair to bed or wheelchair to bed or bed to commode or commode to bed or wheelchair. And then concerns about falling are reduced. Of course, if the client would observe that you are performing proper body mechanics, so definitely the client's anxieties and fears about falling would be reduced. So confidence in the caregiver's ability to perform tasks correctly is then increased. this. Okay, so those are the importance of body mechanics, again, to the caregiver and to your patient or client. Now, let's proceed with the basic elements of body mechanics. We have the word here, COG. COG stands for Center of Gravity. COG is a position of the body where all weight is considered located. So, the location of the COG in the human body is as a siya, naa siya sa imong anterior to the second sacral or sacral vertebrae. So, second sacral vertebrae, anterior. What do you mean by anterior? In front of you. So, anterior to the second sacral vertebrae. So, it is in between your legs, diba? Just near your reproductive sexual organs. So there your second sacral vertebrae. COG, or the center of gravity, changes as the human body changes its position. The important thing is you have to maintain balance. Now, you look at the picture, this one. So when your center of gravity, or your COG, not CG, COG is from the word center of gravity. You can only achieve that center of gravity if you're going to position your foot parallel to each other. And another is you have to widen it by increasing it from 1 foot to at least 1.5 to 2 feet. Diba? Distance. That is in how to widen your base of support to attain or maintain the center of gravity. Okay, this is the center of gravity. Okay, this is your center of gravity. So there's your COG. So pwede mo lang mabalance yan ang pabili during lifting. If you're going to place all the way to the center of gravity, or in your center of gravity, kung you are going to widen your base of support. Okay, just like in the picture. Okay, next we have here your base of support. So one acronym kanina is your COG. COG means center of gravity. And then we also have another one, BOS, or base of support. How are you going to maintain, to have equal distribution of weight during lifting or carrying the patient? That is your COG. You are going to achieve it by widening your base of support. Okay, so the base of support, or your BOS, is the area on which an object rests and that provides support to the object. The feet provide a base of support for the body, and having a good solid base goes a long way to helping in maintaining a good body alignment. Okay, so you have here a picture. As what I've said, you're going to have a base of support if you're going to perform or have your foot parallel with each other with a distance of at least 1.5 to 2 feet. Diba? That is your, and in doing so, you will achieve a stable COG. Diba? You will become more stable in lifting your client. But if you want a more stable position, you have to widen your base of support more. Okay, the more widened your BOS is, so that is now the more balance you'll achieve in lifting or carrying your patient. Okay, again, the more distance of widening your foot is considered as more stable, or that is now your base of support is more stable comparing to just of your 1.5 inches distance in between your foot. Okay. And now we will have your balance. Balance occurs when the COG, what is the COG again? Center of gravity of the object falls within the BOS. So, syempre, pag yung COG nyo, yung lahat ng weight ng patient ay nasa COG and it is now lifted along while widening your base of support, then you will be having or you will achieve what we call as your balance. Again, pag si COG po ay nag-rest po siya within your BOS, then you will have balance. Okay, next is posture. The position or the attitude of the body relative to the arrangement of the body parts for a specific activity. That is now your posture. So your good posture, diba? Good posture is very much basic. You can always hear it during elementary years or during childhood years, particularly during adolescent stage, diba? Let's say as early as school age, your mother will always tell you, okay, you have to chest out, diba? Chest out. So, chest out meaning chest out, diba? So, dapat naka-chest out ka palagi during standing or even walking and your sitting. And that is called as your posture. Posture po yun, ha? Okay, next is, we have your steps to good body mechanics. The first step toward good body mechanics is correct posture. Okay, what is the first step towards good body mechanics? That is your correct posture. Which help promotes proper balance, conserve energy, prevent muscle strain, and maintain the natural curves of the spine. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to achieve correct posture? Okay, we have here when standing, you have to position yourself head erect. Pag head erect ko, dapat you have to imagine yourself that you are standing in front of a wall. So, in front of the wall. Dapat yung head mo po nakatouch sa wall at yung back mo po yung scapular area here at your back or in your, just below your shoulder at the back should be touching the wall. So, that is your head erect, chin in. Okay, chin in, meaning pa-in po yung chin. Shoulders back at ease. Shoulder blades flat. Chest and forward. Arms at sides facing forward. Again, arms at sides facing forward. Abdomen flat. Drawn up and in. Buttocks tucked in. Lower back flattened. Of course, lower back flattened. Again, nakatouch po siya sa wall. Hips tilted down in back. Knees straight but not stiff. And feet parallel to each other. One foot slightly forward, especially when standing for a long time. You have to put one foot on a stool and change position every 20 minutes. Okay, you listen because these statements here will be the one that you're going to utter during your performance of body mechanics in your procedure handbook or just at the back of your handouts when standing. Okay, so you have to utter those words little by little while performing the procedure. Okay, next is when sitting. When sitting, we have here head erect, shoulders back at ease, just like in the picture. And we have chest up and forward, hips bent at right angle. So, dapat nakabend po yung right angle. How? Dapat po yung puweta natin ay nakatouch po siya sa backrest. Ha? Tingnan nyo. At the edge of the backrest, dapat nakatouch po yung puweta ng tao. And weight supported by thigh. thighs. So all your weight should be supported by your thighs. So I have here your picture. And where is the center of gravity? The center of gravity is located on your sacral area, or what we call as your buttocks part. Okay. And of course, asan po? Yung pong sa chest area po natin at the back is your center of gravity. Weight supported by thighs, sit back in chair, rest both feet on the floor. A sitting position, stability to a wide base of support and low center of gravity. So this is how you're going to perform. Posture and body mechanics is standing. Stand up straight. Follow the rules given below. So as we have mentioned, when you have the correct position, walk around and feel how to maintain proper posture while learning, leading to making it a habit. Imagine that you have a string fastened to the crown of your head, with the other end being attached to the ceiling. So kailangan po parang Miss Universe ka po kung maglakad. Pretend someone is pulling on the string and straighten your alignment accordingly. Keep in mind the following points. What are these? Again, head erect, chin in, shoulders back at ease, shoulder blades flat, chest up and forward, arms at sides, facing forwards, folded and facing forwards, abdomen flat, drawn up and in. We have here buttocks tucked in, lower back flattened, hips tilted down in back, knees straight but not stiff, feet parallel to each other, one foot slightly forward. And it's, of course, when you're standing for a long time, you have to put one foot on stool and change position every 20 minutes. Okay. So we have here a picture of the right position here in number 1 and the wrong position in number 2. As you have noticed, pag pinoposition niyo po yung self nyo in number 1, yung height natin po ay medyo tatangkad ng konti. Konti lang naman. No, wag sobra. Compared to the wrong position. Tingnan niyo yung number 2. Yung position niya para siyang buntis, di ba? So yung buntis kasi yung position niya medyo noticeable siya. At yung height naman niya compared sa number 1 is medyo ano siya? Ano ba yung sa Tagalog yung yung putot? Putot. Ano naman yan? Hindi matangkad. Simple. Ganun lang. Huwag na natin pahirapan yung masarili natin. Okay, next is your lifting. To lift a heavy object, bend the knees, keeping the back straight. That is the first illustration shows the correct way. Posture in the second illustration is incorrect. Why? Remember, anong binan niya po? Yung waist niya po. And secondly, the cause of severe or temporary disabling back strain. You may lift heavy object using full squat, power lift, or tripod position, which will be shown to you later after the lecture. Anyways, there are some points there in our demonstration that is not properly shown. But of course, it would be corrected by us, especially during the actual presentation or demonstration. Okay. Okay, next, basta you have to follow lang the description book given to you. Kasi sometimes our mga actors and actresses in our videos are quite that, what we call this one, trained. Sometimes they cannot show their best during the demonstration. But rest assured, if you're going to follow the statement, you will perform it correctly. And of course, you have to follow the picture being shown to you. Okay, so you may list again heavy object using full squat. What do you mean by full squat? Full squat po. Parang upo ka po sa sa pinatatayon niyo po. And then we have also power lift, and we have your tripod. Okay. And while lifting light objects, you may use the traditional way of lifting, or you may have it golfer's lift. Okay. So, bawal po yung number 2 ha. Dapat ganyan po. Next, in your carrying. When carrying, it is expected that the object is at the side. Sa carry po, object is at the side. Just like in picture 1. So, you have to keep as erect as possible. Okay. As erect as possible. As in the first illustration, slumping as in the second drawing adds to the strain by destroying body balance. Okay. So, wrong po yung number 2 ha. Okay. Next is doing housework. Example is ironing or cooking or dishwashing. You have to stand erect with weight on both feet as in the first drawing. The second drawing illustrates an even distribution of your weight. Why? Tingnan niyo po yung second. Tingnan niyo po yung shoulder blades niya po. O yung shoulder lang po. Hindi po even. Dapat parang sa number 1 na even pull or balance po yung shoulder, which is the correct and proper way of doing the housework. And then next we have your desk work. Good posture in your illustration 1 is correct. Why? Or the person is sitting on a chair with his suckle area placed at the edge of the backrest. So, good posture conserves energy and dividends in efficiency. Sit erect with lower back supported as in the first drawing. Do not hunch, just like what the number 2 drawing is performing. Okay, naka-hunch po yung back niya po. And then, we have also your chair should be adjusted to proper height. Okay, ha? Yung chairs po natin sa office, dapat adjusted po siya to proper height para hindi po tayo mag-hatch. And then next, we have in driving. So, tingnan niyo po yung number 1 na drawing. Yan po yung proper. Hindi po yung number 2 na para bang tense na tense po siya nang nagda-drive po siya. Kasi yung back niya po naka-hatch. The jolting and swaying of a car add to the strain of poor posture. You will save yourself much fatigue by sitting erect and well back as in the first illustration or in the first drawing. So, maintaining good muscle tone. Muscles work best when they are in good condition or tone. That is now your muscle tone. What do you mean by muscle tone? The readiness of the muscle to work. So, the muscle now is in good condition. Poor muscle tone occurs when muscles are not used frequently. They become weak, tired, easily, and cause fatigue. Good muscle tone means that the muscle is strong and ready to work. Good muscle tone means what is it? The muscle is strong and ready to work. Muscle tone can be improved by a program of regular exercise that should be given gradually and be performed under the direction of a qualified person or your physicians, usually physical therapists, or you may have the aid of a caregiver. Stretching large muscle groups such as the arms and legs is important before starting each exercise session. Diba? At isa to nag-gym. Every time you are going to submit it for a exercise program by a gym instructor, the first thing that you're going to do is stretching. Because it prepares the muscles to work and helps prevent strains. So one of the best exercise is walking. Again, remember, because it will be included in our quiz, the best exercise is brisk walking for at least 20 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, ano po yung best exercise? Brisk walking 20 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. Exercising regularly should increase muscle tone and strength. Yes, di ba? It reduces stress and of course your fatigue. And of course it strengthens the heart muscles. So you remember your good muscle tone again, the readiness of your muscle to work. So maintaining balance when standing, lifting, or moving. It's important to keep your body in proper balance. Why? Remember, when standing, keep your feet apart with one foot slightly forward. Okay, para to maintain balance, especially if you're standing for a long time. This will provide a wider base of support and better balance. Protecting your back. How? Back injuries usually occurs because of a combination of many factors, including incorrect use of body mechanics, poor posture, maintaining one body position for a long time, and lack of rest and relaxation. Developing poor habits at work and at home can contribute to back problems. That is why caregivers who have previously injured their backs or require additional support for the back may benefit from using a back belt when lifting or moving objects to clients. Okay. Remember, as a caregiver, you're earning that much, but of course, if you're not ensuring yourself safety by maintaining proper body mechanics, your wage is not enough to support the operation of your back. Okay, remember to be careful always. One must know her limit before lifting heavy objects. Know your body. If unsure about whether you will be able to lift the weight, you have to stop and get help. Do not attempt to lift the client in your own. So remember, especially during transfer, you have to ask for a buddy. When you say buddy, to ask for a second caregiver to assist you in lifting, especially if the patient is big. Hindi pwede, kaya lagyan ako na, ang ending, okay, mag-slip disc ka, kulang pa yung sweldo mo, di ba? So dapat you have to ensure yourself safety, okay? Basic rules for protecting your back and practicing good body mechanics. 1. Wear appropriate clothing. What is it? You have to wear non-skid comfortable shoes, low-heeled or wedged. And then we have also back belt if needed. And plan the move and prepare the client. Okay, so dapat meron practice. Mental practice. Practice niyo po yung mga steps or strategy niyo po during moving the client or on moving the client. Para at least pag na-mental count na yung mga steps niyo in performing the position actually, so you have to be perfect on it. So, go through the entire move mentally before starting. Know where you are taking the client, either syempre kung sa chair or the commode, and then make sure they are available at the side. Hindi kayo i-lift mo yung client, wala pa palang chair, wala pa palang commode. Ipapasit mo siya ulit sa bed, di ba? You have to gather the materials needed. Tell the client that what you are planning to do. For example, ma'am, palingkuron ti ka, ma'am. I will let you sit. Then after that, ma'am, okay, ma'am, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and after that, we will stand. Okay. So dapat the client is well informed. Then after that, again, I'm going to count another 1, 2, 3, and for me to transfer you from the bed to the commode. Okay, from the bed to the commode. so your instructor can about how he or she can assist you if ever may you just hold my you just hold my or kaya let me hold your hand, something like that. Make sure the client understands and gets feedback before proceeding. Asa ka magunit, ma'am? Okay, ma'am. So, I'm going to lift you up. Then, asa ka magunit, anak? May siya magunit ko siya malikod. Okay, perfect. Ano ba yun? Use assistive devices if available. What are the assistive devices necessary, especially in transfer? Gate belt, di ba? And get help if necessary. Instruct helper about the correct position. So techniques to use, you have remember you are the leader, and then count 1, 2, 3, and then move together. So simple. Ma'am, I'm going to count to 3 while I'm going to after 3, we were going to move together to the left or to the right, to the left, to the left, or to the right, diba? So, syempre, apelin mo kung asa na left ba or right ba? Diba? O diba, forward ba o backward ba? Okay, dapat the patient is well informed. Now the rest, we have also your basic rules for protecting your back and practicing with body mechanics. 1. Number 3 is moving objects safely. Get help when lifting heavy objects. Of course, we have said, call for another second caregiver or for a second caregiver or another body. Push, slide, or roll objects when appropriate. Pag hindi kaya, push niyo yung object niyo, lipaan naman kayo. Or slide niyo push or you roll the object. Get as close to the object as possible. Keep feet apart for a wider base of support. So sabi natin, keep feet apart for wider base of support. The more distance that you're going to have, the more balance you'll be achieving. Get out of the same level of the load squat or get on the one knee and stagger, and then you have stagger feet and point them in the direction of the move. Keep back straight, never bend out over from the waist. Grasp object firmly and breathe in. Okay? Gunitan yung object and then breathe in. Tighten abdominal muscles and lift slowly by straightening the legs. Exhale as you perform the move. Avoid sudden jerking movements. Lift smoothly. Turn your body as a unit. Of course, you have to turn your body as a unit. Hindi po pwedeng ito-turn yung patient to the left, pero yung face niyo po naka-face pa rin sa wall ng patient. Do not twist your upper torso. Do not twist your upper torso. Adjust working heights to avoid reaching, twisting, or bending. So remember, ang sabi natin, you have to raise the bed to its proper working height at the level of your greater trochanter. Diba? Where's your greater trochanter? Just within, kung asa ka dapat taman ang imo wrist. You stand up, and then you measure your greater trochanter. Kung asa dapat imo wrist, what is your greater trochanter? Adjust and never lift a load that is overhead. Use footstool to get as close to the load as possible. Test weight or load before lifting. Set objects down slowly, bending knees and keeping back straight. Okay. So that is it completes now our positioning of your maintaining proper body mechanics. Now, we'll proceed to your principle for pushing and pulling activities. One is crouch and face the object squarely. Diba? Yan, just a pushing. Dapat yung object square. What do you mean by square the object? Dapat the object is in front of us, then it is squared, diba? So dapat yung size ng object is size po din natin. Use your arm and leg to push or pull. Push with your arm partially bent. Okay, tingnan niyo po ang position. Yung arm is partially bent, so you're pushing. And push or pull in straight line. Your force should be parallel to the floor, just like in the picture. Be certain that there are no objects in your path and doorways are wide enough for the object to pass through. And then in pulling, so just like in the picture also, you have to do pull. So and your hand is a little bit straightened compared to pushing, and your hand is holding the lower part of the backrest. Okay. Okay, that's it, ha? So we're going to have it, we're going to demonstrate it after. So in carrying, principles for reaching activities, you have to stand on a footstool or ladder to reach an object that is above the head. Okay, move the object close to your body. That is very much important. And before you're going to lower it or raising it, hold the object close to your body as you step down to the footstool. Don't simultaneously reach and twist your body. Okay, dapat ha, when you're going to carry, make sure that the object is near you. Para the object's weight is equally distributed within your center of gravity. Principles of carrying activities. Carry all objects close to your body. The best position is in front of your body at the level of your chest or waist. Ito po, just like in the picture. And then if you carry an object by one hand, alternately carrying it in one hand and then the other, don't twist your back when moving an object from one hand to the other. So i-move mo lang siya but not twist your back. Balance the load whenever it is possible. Some bulky or heavy objects can be carried on your shoulders, especially if you carry them in a substantial distance. So, pwedeng sa shoulder po, just like what happened with your backpack, di ba? Yung weight po ng bag is equally distributed. Hindi po yung isa lang na sling ng bag niya, i-apply niyo po sa back niyo. Yung dalawa po, para balance. Dalawang shoulder blades niyo, may backpack po siya. And avoid carrying or balancing a small child on the hip. Why? Use an infant carrier to hold the child close to you. Bakit po? Aside from the client's leg would be deformed, of course, you are not practicing proper body mechanics. So principles to reduce stress reducing positions. You have to alter your positions frequently. Dapat change position every 20 minutes. So alter position frequently. And then we have also avoid prolonged sitting and standing. Place one foot on a stool and standing for a long period of time, like when ironing, laundering, and washing dishes. Enter and leave the car side wide rather than twisting motion of the truck. Diba kasi maglingkod ang auto, diba? Side wide po siya pag umupo ka po. Hindi po mag-twist. Enter and leave the car side. Adjust your car seat so that your knees are at the same level of your hips. So use a footrest while seated at the typewriter or a computer to keep your hips and knees level and bent at 90 degrees. Okay. Now, we will proceed with your disability. Disability is disability B? Disability is kanang disabled, impairment, di ba? Health is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being and not merely the absence of a disease or infirmity. So there's your health. We have here your impairments. It defines as any alteration or deviation from normal anatomic, physiologic, and psychological structures or function is considered as impairment. Let's say, 10 po yung mga daliri natin, pag kulang ng isa, so that is now your impairment. Because there's an alteration in the anatomic, physiological structures and functions, diba? For example, wala na si Tom, so mamimiss na po ng ibang daliri si Tom. So, it is now considered, the person is considered impaired. For a patient with stroke, example of impairments that are indirect result of pathology might include sensory loss, okay, mabubulan po siya, or kaya, the person will become deaf, mabumol po siya, and o kaya, wala po siyang sensation ng, wala po siyang sense of taste or sense of smell. And abnormal motor loss and abnormal motor planning and coordination. So with this, there is functional limitation. This is defined as inability of the individual to perform a task or activity in the way it is done by most people as a result of a impairment. Kasi po nakulangan po yung isang daliri niyo po, hindi ka makakain ng mabuti. Diba? That's impairment. For example, your impairment. So that is na naman yung hindi ka makakain, that is your functional limitation. Okay. And then next, three categories of functions. One is physical function, and then number which has a group. We have your basic activities of daily living and instrumental activities of daily living. In your physical functions, these are skills necessary for the performance of usual activities of daily living. Example of that is which are getting out of bed. Then after that, getting out of bed, you're going to do walking, climbing stairs, and even bathing. Your categories of your physical functions, we have your basic activities of daily living and instrumental activities of daily living. What do you mean by BADL? So these are tasks concerned with daily self-care. These are the advanced skills that are considered vital to an individual's independent living in the community, which includes a wide range of high-level skills such as managing personal affairs, cooking and shopping, and home chores, and of course your driving. Okay. Next is psychological functions. These are you have the two components, your mental and your affective. When I say mental, functions refers to the intellectual or cognitive abilities of the individual. It includes factors such as initiative, attention, concentration, memory, problem solving, or even judgment. While your affective functions refers to the affective skills and coping strategies needed to deal with the everyday hassles, as well as the more traumatic and stressful event each person encounters over the course of a lifetime. Ano po ito mga ito? It includes factors such as your self-esteem, affected niya po. Attitude towards body image, hindi po ka po makapasok kasi pili mo pangit ka po. And anxiety because you are stressed. Depression because you are depressed. And the ability to cope with change. So those are the affective function. Pag mental, so ikaw po yun. Ikaw na ikaw po lahat. Pag affective, so yung mga friends mo, inaalala nila yung iba, that is your affective function. Number 3, social functions. Ano po siya? Refers to the individual's performance of social roles and obligations. Examples of this are social activities including participation in recreational activities such as clubs, social interactions such as telephoning or visiting relatives of friends, and social roles created and sustained through interpersonal relationship specific to one's personal life and occupation. Okay. Occupation po tayo. And when an individual is limited in a number of functional activities and unable to engage in critical social roles, this person may be regarded as disabled. Siyempre, may functional activities po siya. So, may disability po. Disability is inability to perform activities in any manner or range considered normal for that individual. And the result from impairment, thus, disability is the term that takes its meaning from the community in which the individual lives and the criteria of normal within that social group. Okay. Handicap is used to describe the social disadvantage or result when the impairment or disability prevents an individual from fulfilling his own or normal role. An inability to return to work is an example of a handicap. Yes, it's true. Okay, so we have effects of disability. Disability, whether temporary or permanent, the client's family will be affected by changes that occurs effects of the disability and its family use. Okay, change in routine. One of the first responses the family may make to disability is to change the routines of everyday life. Kasi may inaalala na po siyang tatay niya na naka-wheelchair at naka-diaper. Meal plans may need to be adjusted so that care can be given the sick family members. Shopping for groceries, cleaning the home, doing the laundry, all these routines may be affected by disability in the family. Even the recreational activities are affected with these changes. Okay. And if the client is a school age, the routine of school are broken. Bakit po? Kailangan niya pong pumasok, kailangan po niya magpa-treatment. Playing with friends and learning in classes are already altered. If the client is an adult and employed, the routine of going to work and being with others outside the family is changed. When routines are disrupted, most family members experience difficulties in adjusting with these changes. Okay, that is your change in routine. Income. There is usually a loss of both income and increase in extra expenses. If disability occurs in the family, if the client is breadwinner in the family, loss of income is a serious problem. In some cases, lifetime savings can be spent a short period of time. Okay. So in worry and fear, if disability occurs in the family, other family members are often worried. Sometimes their worries and fears make it difficult to concentrate on the other jobs or their work. Okay. Some typical concerns include the unknown, sinong nagsabi, how long will the illness last? So, yun pang tatanong yung nurse. Tatanong mo how long will the illness last? Okay. And then we also have here your what about the future? Pwede ba yun? And will there be enough money to pay you? Will I be able to care for this family member? And the loss. We have a statement. Will there be permanent loss of functions, loss of income, loss of companionship, and loss due to death? Pain and suffering. We have yours seeing loved one in pain, feeling or helplessness, too much extra work, additional burdens, and not enough to help other family members, not helping. Ang sinasabi mo nito, after that, bakit ako? Next is your stress. Changes in family routines, additional responsibilities, learning to care for family members, not enough time in the day, conflicts with other family members, so this is your stress. Okay, so we have your role changes. So for example, a person is not, your client, I mean, doesn't suffer from any disease, but you were there present as a caregiver because of a certain, let's say what they call this one, due to aging. So, sabihin natin tumanda yung patient, matanda na po siya, but she doesn't have any problem at all since she is doing good with her adjustment, with the life that she's having as an elderly person. But one day, or let's say one day, his BP shoot up, and then of course let's put it this way, she suffered from stroke. So because of this problem, there will be changes of roles that are going to occur inside the family. Why? Because let's say, although the person is an elderly and you were hired because of it, kasi kailangan niya ng kasama, yet the person is very much able to do or perform things on her own. The person is very much independent on her own. So, another thing is, kaya independent po siya, and yet she's still earning. Let's say she's still earning with her pension, diba? But now that she's having a stroke, there will be big changes that are going to occur in her life, and not only with her life, but to the lives of the people around that person, and even to the lives of the people that is depending on the person, diba? So let's say your role means the duties and responsibilities assumed by a person. When the role of the client prior to disability was that of a breadwinner. Let's say the elderly has kids, and the kids is very much dependent to him. And let's assume that elderly is a breadwinner. So if there is something that would happen to him, instead of spending his pension for the food, or let's say for the things that her kids would desire, he will now spend his pension with his medicine, diba? So there will be a big role change that will going to occur in the lives of not only to the client but also to the lives of the people around him. So let's say she happens to be the breadwinner, and another family member may need to find employment to pay the bills, right? Kasi yung pera nila dapat na gamitin para dun sa bills of the house will not be spent with his medicines. So if the mother or father is ill, perhaps the oldest child will become the substitute parent, or the grandparents may take on the additional responsibilities. Diba? Sometimes when in a family member, where the father or the head of the family becomes ill, so the eldest or the kids needs to work to make things neat. Diba? Kailangan nilang kumita para magpatuloy yung way of living nila. So let's say, for example, pag meron po mga grandparents, so yung mga kids would be dependent na to their grandparents. O yung mga kids, ay kung wala namang grandparents, yung mga kids ay kailangan ng kumita para mag-wedding po sila. Mother, father, spouse, partner, significant other, child, grandparents, or friend may assume substitute roles for the ill and disabled client. So those are the things that you're going to remember, that a big role change will occur if ever a certain client or a family member would suffer from any disability. So changes in roles can result in periods of adjustment for all family members, and relationships can become strained, right? Kasi, for example, nasa private school ka nag-aral, tapos namatay po yung parents mo. So what would happen now? You will be transferred to a public school, diba? Or the worst, you cannot go on with your schooling anymore because you need to prioritize things, diba? Kailangan mo pag-aralin yung mga kapatid mo. And each family will cope with the disability in its own special way. So, depende na po yun kung how strong the family will be going to stay, or how strong is the coping mechanism used by a certain family. In some instances, the family bonds become stronger as each member assumes a special role and adjusts to changes in the home. Yes, because especially if they will be helping one another in continuing the path previously made by them also. So it will going to build their family as stronger as ever. In other situations, adjustments are made with difficulty or not made at all. The bonds become weak and even break under the weight of the family disability. Right? For example, some people in the family, they were going to argue who going to take care as to who were going to take care of that sick or disabled family member. Diba? Ayun, meron ng, let's say, may mga instances na they were going to badmouth that family member. And may mga instances din na they hated to be called by that disabled person. Diba? Kasi those disabled will be provided by a bell, and then that bell will be rung by that disabled person in case if he needs something to call out the attention of those people who are going to take care of them. Or the worst, for example, if nandun ka na sa pamilya nila, so the worst is you will become unemployed now. Or a good thing, if ever they can afford it, they may continuously hire you back. Not hire you back. They're going to continuously hire you, di ba? Kasi kailangan nga nila yung servisyo mo noon na assistant ka lang ng matanda. How much more, di ba? So, that is how your role changes when it comes to disability. Next, we have your adapting to the need for a caregiver. That's what I've said. Kailangan po nila ng caregiver. Bakit? Hindi po nila kaya na magtrabaho at the same time to take care of that particular person or disabled person. The best thing that you would notice is the caregiver's importance now will be highlighted. Why? Because kailangan ng mga tao yung assistance nila. They need that skillful caregiver to take care of their loved ones. And they cannot do it because they already have they have their works. Tapos it is so tiring if they were going to work during the day and during the night they were going to attend to the needs of that sick or disabled person. So in most instances, the family will welcome you into the home to care for that client. Yes. In Ozamis nga, kailangan pag na-hire ka, dapat i-stipulate yung kailangan kang pakainin, just like the sick and disabled person. And of course, you have also your number of hours of stay lang po, which in turn you will be paid. Diba? The family recognizes the special skills you have and will cooperate with you in every way. Sometimes, however, a family member might react to your visits differently. Kasi sabihin na ito na naman siya, at the end of the day, babayarin naman, diba? The person may not trust your ability to perform the care needed. Because some elderlies, just like I have one client in Ozamis, she have a disabled mother who happens to be 98 years old. And of course, let's say they are capable of paying the rate of the caregiver, but what happened was, medyo, kuripot kasi let's say, they run from a business family, diba? So, kuripot po sila. And then, they have no choice. So, they hired us. They hired a caregiver. And when during those times, especially during the first encounter, the eldest daughter would always say na, ganito yung gawin mo, ganyan. Then, ang problema dun, as you can see, because you already know what's the best procedure to do with a certain client, hindi po yun, para sa'yo, hindi po yun yung the best. Because of the presence of that person or that relative or the daughter of that client of yours, the tendency is you're going to, what will you do? You're going to respect their procedures. You're going to follow their instruction. And yet, because that is not your procedure, or that is not the best thing to ensure safety, so you might endanger now the life of the elderly. So, you might fall, diba? Especially during transfer, may procedure sila, tapos gusto nilang i-follow mo yun, and yet hindi ka huwag naman doon. And, of course, when it comes to safety, you observe that it's not the best way to ensure safety. Pero wala kang magawa kasi nandun sila. So, pwede ka bang mag-insist? Yes. You may insist as to follow your own procedure. In that way, you also You also develop, or what they call this one, you try to impress also with your skills gained. You try to impress that relative, that negative relative of that your client, to and then try to prove to her that your procedure is the best, or your skills or your technique is the best thing to do than performing those self-proven na technique na hindi naman po siya reliable or hindi naman safety ensured. Okay, for example, family members say, no one can give a bed bath as well as I do. Yes, that's it. Your confident manner in performing the task correctly goes a long way in helping to build a sense of trust. Kasi sabihin ng family member, mas yan kasi siya pag ganito mo siya. Kailangan niya mainit na tubig, ganyan. Alam mo naman yung ginagawa mo, but yet she's always instructing you to do so. So, what do? You just try to prove everything that you do, that it is the best and comfortable way, and it is much comforting for that your procedure or your action is much comforting for the client than the action of that previous caregiver or that relative. Remember, action speaks louder than words. Remember that. As you go on in your career as a caregiver, sometimes your supervisor will help you respond appropriately to situations where family members are having some difficulty accepting your role as a caregiver. Yes, sometimes family members are resistant to hire caregivers. Family stress, anxiety, and worry can interfere with a good working relationship among client, family, and caregiver. So you have to remember that. Factors affecting the reaction to disability. Remember, these are the factors affecting the reaction to disability. What are they? We have one is age. So the reaction is depending upon the age of a client. Let's say if the family member is a child, let's say a toddler or 3 years old kid, upon seeing the disabled person, she will find it much amusing. Why? Because especially if the person is using the wheelchair, diba? She would going to regard the wheelchair as a car, diba? Car for the client, and he even wanted to ride that car. Okay, because that client or that child doesn't know anything about it, diba? Or let's say if the person is already an adult, she already know the purpose of that wheelchair. So his actuation might show sadness, diba? It might show sadness. It might show disappointment compared to that of a child who seems to be happy and happy with that scenario that her parents or relative is having a wheelchair. Next is personality and attitude. So depending upon our personality, diba, on how we're going to cope with that disability. Diba? On how we're going to react with that disability. Are we supportive enough to that family member who happens to be disabled? So are we just ignoring the fact that she's disabled? Are we blaming him for being disabled? Because now that she's disabled, the financial flow in the family is now is having a problem. So that is now your personality and attitude. Next, let us see prior physical condition. So let's say you have a prior physical condition, and now because of that prior physical condition, you became disabled, diba? Let's say physical condition mo is diabetic ka. And then one thing, because of the fact that you are diabetic, your blood becomes viscous and even thick, making now your blood flow to be slow, diba? Slow blood flow. And if it occurs, you are now having stroke. So, because of the fact previous problems of diabetes, it aggravates the condition, now making you disabled. So those are the factors. Letters D is nature and length of condition or disability. So depending upon what are the things that you cannot do, diba? So depende po yun. And sometimes disabled person try to adjust with their condition, thus making them anyways to be more to appear more confident in doing anything, diba, in their lives. Family support in the sense that we need it in order to cope with that idea or with the present condition of disability, for us to accept easily in a good heart that it is now the condition given to us by God. So that is now the condition given to us by God, and that is of having a disabled person under our care. Diba? Letter C is culture. So it depends upon the culture of the person. Especially us in Asia, we happen to be family-oriented. We wanted to take care of our family members. At first kasi, feeling natin, we need to. But in reality, we get bored of doing things, routinary things, handling and taking care of the clients, and we desire or even pray to stop this, diba? So that is now your culture. Unlike with other individuals in other Western countries, if they have this disabled person, they ensure that their life is comfortable by taking him in an institution, diba? Depende po yun sa culture po natin. And then not only that, but also the open-mindedness of the person. Now, we will proceed with the reactions of client to disability. One is denial. Denial is a refusal to admit the truth, diba? In client use denial as a means of maintaining their emotional health. This may last for several days to a couple of weeks. Here, the patient believes that the loss will be restored or not even exist. False hopes, fantasy, and daydreaming may be evident in this individual. So, nagdi-deny po siya. So, let's say, nagdi-deny po siya na hindi na po niya kaya maglakad, di ba? He was going to say na, nagpapiti man ko, and then after that, magpapiti ko, mag-exercise ko. Okay, that is your denial. What to do? So be caring and supportive, diba? You have to be caring and supportive. What do you mean? So you have to support the person. Just listen. Just be there. Okay. Just be there for the person and then listen. And then you have to offer yourself listening to the person's denial. Then at first declines to realize that she is disabled because just give him time. Allow them to come to terms with their disability in their own way. Next is have a positive attitude and follow the client's plan of care to the best of your ability. And next is we have also, if you feel that your client's denials interferes with your treatment plan or causing any other problems, discuss it with your supervisor. So just try to offer yourself and be there for the patient or client listening. Letter D is depression because this is your didadaw. Okay, depression. Client may appear to mourn over the loss. Yes. Pagtingin naman niya, wala na siyang paa. So, you are going to mourn for it. And even have a phantom sensation that the leg is still existing. The client may feel sad and interested in his surroundings and a period of self-pity and exaggerated self-blame is often observed. This really is understandable when the client is overwhelmed by all the problems associated with disability. Yes, Diba? Kasi alam naman niya marami silang babayarin, may utang pa sila, and now dumagdag pa ba, naging disabled siya. So the client now will become depressed. This type of depression is only temporary, remember that, and should subside as recovery progresses. But there is always the risk that the depression may increase and the client may require psychiatric care if ever na hindi talaga matagal-tagal yung self-blame. You must be alert for an indication that your client may be considering suicide in some cases. Because of depression, lalamunin na po siya ng depression at mag-a-attempt na po ng suicide. And sometimes the attempt may not be an attempt, but will come into reality. So what to do? Have a positive attitude when caring for the client, the same, especially when he is depressed. Allow to express feelings. Okay, allow the client to cry. Do not limit crying because crying is the way of yourself to release your anxiousness. Remind the client of any improvements that you have observed, for example, increasing strength, appetite, and activity. So let's say disabled push-up, there will be muscle weakness in her legs, paraplegia, meaning the lower legs are paralyzed and doesn't feel anything. If you are going to observe that there is an increased strength with that leg, paralyzed leg, so you have to commend the client. Diba? O let's say pag kumain naman siya na medyo marami-rami, you commend the client. O let's say naglakad-lakad yung paralytico, so you commend the client also. Smile and be pleasant, do not become depressed yourself. Okay. And the next is anger. As what I said, this is didadaw. Dadaw. The letter C is anger. Clients are angry because of the loss and they may take the feeling out of their friends and families and sometimes the caregiver. Sometimes because of angriness, they will not face death. They will not face visitors also, just like your depression. This can be demonstrated by being impatient. Diba? Humingi ng tubig, natagalan ka kasi may kinuha ka pa, nagalit na. The client may be irritated with the caregiver or the doctor and about all the things that he has to put up with, and employers may express frustrations because they are angry about their limitation, the slowness of their progress, and their inability to control the situations. Not at you as a caregiver. What to do? You have to be calm and patient. Do not become angry yourself. Remember, anger is a barrier to communications. You know you're doing your best. Even if nothing seems to please the client, keep in mind that the client is angry about being sick or disabled and that he is not angry at you. Okay. And we have also letter D, your dependence or over dependence. Persons with disability will be dependent on other individuals. Disabilities cause the person to become progressively weaker and increasingly dependent upon the other person to care. Clients who value their independence will become very angry and frustrated when they are dependent. Diba? What to do? Make clients maintain their independence by offering choices and opportunities to try to do with their own. Be careful not to become frustrated and impatient when client self-care takes too long. Pag medyo matagal, di ba? So it is very difficult to watch a client struggle in an attempt to perform self-care when you know that he could do it better and faster. So remember, if the patient is trying to prove her dependence, you allow him and you let him enjoy the idea that she's already dependent. Remember that you are promoting independence. That is a goal or care for all clients. Diba? And handy clients, we have to always promote independence. Okay, next is anxiety. Although illness itself does not cause anxiety, fears and worries often accompany illness. This can be so severe that it can interfere with the treatment. Diba? As with denial, anxiety, and fear, what the disease could be may cause a person to delay seeking care or even refuse treatment. Sometimes these patients build a wall of silence rather than talk about their worst fears. So, anong gagawin mo? So, what to do? Next is, of course, the caregiver can help the client by carefully explaining as much as possible and any procedure that is about to perform. Be calm and confident in caring personal care, of course, and prepare the client for any problems that may develop. Knowing what to expect helps to put client at ease. Okay. And next is your withdrawal. When the illness is prolonged or disfiguring, the client may avoid contact with others. Other causes of withdrawal may be the side effects of treatment, depressions, or anxieties. Sometimes withdrawal is forced upon the clients when they are ignored and abandoned by family members, diba? Especially kung feeling nila pabigat na lang po sila, so mag-withdraw. At withdraw, hindi po sila magpa-participate sa care. What to do? Discuss with client's behavior with your supervisor, and you have to schedule rest periods. So allow the client to rest and relax. Perform your duties calmly and efficiently, and assist the client to readjust to socialization when possible. So how? Phone calls, letters, and cards from family and friends can prevent some of the loneliness accompanied with your withdrawal. And of course, you have to be there for your client. Be attentive. Dapat you will listen to spoken and unspoken words. Observe carefully for any changes in condition and report this to your supervisor. So be sure that basic physical needs for foods, fluids, exercise, rest, and eliminations are being met. If depression and withdrawal are both present, be alert for signs of your suicide. Okay. Signs of your suicide po. So role change. No matter what the role of the client before the illness, there is now change that we're going to take place. Client may become angry and frustrated when they cannot perform their usual roles. Family members are preoccupied with so many things that they don't have the time or energy for the client. What to do? The caregiver can encourage the client to participate in family discussions and activities. And number 2, arrange a schedule of care and rest periods, including special time for family members. Clients need to be part of everyday family activities and decisions as much as possible. Okay. Next is your self-image. Self-image po tayo. So the way we see ourselves plays a very important role in how we react to the world around us. We all have images in our mind of the perfect self, and we want the world to see us that way. When visibility causes change in the body image, the client may feel unattractive and worthless, even repulsive. Not only do clients see themselves negatively, but they also believe that the other persons do. Unfortunately, in some cases of the client is correct. Unfortunately, the client is correct. What to do? Anong gagawin? You have to continue to meet the client's basic needs, physical, psychosocial, and for self-esteem. You have to accept the client exactly as he is. And if you cannot do this, perhaps another aid would be able to do so. Diba? Pag hindi nyo kaya alagaan yung client, so maghanap lang tayo ng ibang caregiver. Para medyo madali yung mga buhay nyo. Accept the client exactly as he is. If you cannot do this, perhaps another aid would do. Be especially aware of your non-verbal communication such as facial expressions, Any signs of disgust, revulsions on the part of the caregiver will cause the client to sense for your rejection and feel unaccepted. Help clients to express their feelings and about the body change. Many clients will experience grief and will mourn what they have already lost. So another thing, self-image, you have to become a good listener. Okay, you listen to the client's agonies. You listen to the client's grief, diba? And encourage clients to perform as much self-care as possible. This will promote independence and often will minimize both changes and maximize appearance. Hair loss is easily covered by a wig or turban. Assist client to use prostheses such as artificial limbs or mastectomy replacement. Treat clients normally and encourage the family to do the same. On your offer praise for their efforts in self-care and rehabilitation. Your respect and courtesy will be help or be of help to the client. Now we'll proceed with the support system. Kailangan natin ng support systems eh. What were the support systems? The family. The family will be able to get the idea that she is already paralyzed. Your family is willing to help, so there is your support system. Are those organizations that provide assistance in time of crisis and stress and help the client and to make it through the tough times. These are the following: you have informal support systems and your formal support system. Pag informal support system po, yun po yung family members, neighbors, church groups, support groups, and senior citizen clubs and examples of informal support systems. They respond when the need arises and there is no change for the service. While your formal support system, these are organizations structured and charge of fees for services. So your agency is an example of a formal support system. When the patient is in bed, so there's a tendency that the patient will going to develop what we call as complications. So because of this, we have to know what are the possible complications that the patient might be having if ever he is in bed. Okay, for example, syempre, if the patient is in bed, so there is no movement at all, so what happened to the metabolism? It will become slow. So another thing, if the patient is in bed, so the patient, for example, the patient is in contact with the surface of the bed, so the patient is now prone to what is known as your pressure ulcers. So first is your contractures. Contractures, we will be dealing this one individually after I have enumerated everything. Contractures meaning, kung sa kuan pa, Bisaya, your clients will be, what we call this one, has this tendency to have contractures, meaning there will be, the patient cannot be able to move normally the part of the body. Because, example, naanad siya, nag-flex ang iyang leg. So, once naanad siya, nag-flex iyang leg, then the time that you're going to straighten the leg, you will be having a hardship or the patient will suffer from intense pain. Another thing is effects of immobility is your weakness. So, diba, if you're going to always lie on bed all day, especially even if you're not sick, especially if you're, let's say, tinatamad ka, though, you will feel most likely that you are having an illness, diba? For example, if you will always stay in bed the whole day, so ang tendency para ka rin nagkasakit. That is, so you will suffer from weakness. How much more those people who has these problems of immobility, diba? So ikaw nga, you will suffer from weakness na well and good ka, how much more those people who are suffering from immobility, okay, having paralysis, either your paraplegia or lower part of the body, or the legs are only paralyzed, or your hemiplegia, or half part of the body is paralyzed, meaning left part of the body is paralyzed, or the right side of the body is paralyzed. That is your hemiplegia. And we have also muscle atrophy. So if there is no movement, of course you will suffer from muscle atrophy. Manguyos na ang mga muscles. So manguyos meaning magagambay ang imong mga muscles. And we have also your pressure ulcers or decubitus ulcers, or another term we have pressure sores. So because of the friction, contact by friction placed on the bed by your weight or by your body, it now leads to pressure ulcer. Or first the skin will become red, and then after that it becomes irritated or scratched, and later on it will going to develop blisters, and when the blisters are gone, it will create a wound, or that is now your ulcerations or pressure ulcers. And next is your orthostatic hypotension. Ortho meaning your bones. Those are responsible for your movement. So orthostatic hypotension meaning there will be hypo meaning decrease. Tension means blood pressure. So there will be decreased blood pressure of the patient due to sudden change of position. Okay, for example, hindog lang kalit from lying in bed. So you will be having this drop of your blood pressure, causing you to have this dizziness. Or the worst is if you're going to get up in bed, you will suffer from what we call the vertigo sometimes, or you have this decreased blood pressure, you will going to suffer from what we call, you might suffer from fall, diba? Or pwede ka matumba. Another effects of immobility is your constipation. When you see constipation, so the patient will become constipated because, as what I've said earlier, the immobility could result to decreased metabolism, and if there's decreased metabolism, so there will be constipation. So next is slowed circulation, diba? Slowed circulation meaning the body's blood vessels has now this tendency to have a hardship to push blood back to the heart for oxygenation, back to the heart to the lungs for oxygenation. So there's a tendency because of this slowed circulation, so the patient could suffer another complication, which is your pneumonia, diba? And other complications. So pneumonia meaning because of contact of your body to the surface, just like your pressure ulcers, your lungs would also suffer. So you're creating now your pneumonia. And next is emotional effects of illness, because if you are that because of the fact that you are immobile, so you will have this tendency to cry over a spilled milk, diba? Iyak ka po. So that is your emotional effects of illness. You will feel depressed, you will feel unwanted, and you even feel that nobody cares. Okay. And the next is general discomfort. Generalized, discomfort. If you have this, if you are happening to be a client who stays in bed most of the time. So we have the contractures we have to well define it as you have your contractures is the lack of full active or passive range of motion due to joint, muscle, or soft tissue limitations. So as what I said kanina, kung naka-flex yung ang kamay mo or naka-flex yung leg mo, most of the time, because you are confined in bed, the moment that you're going to stretch that or extend that arm or leg, you will suffer from pain. Why? Because ninggahi na to siya ang imong bukog linggahi na siya kay wala siya ma-add or extend, di ba? Just like for example, if you're complaining of what we call this one, ano ba yun? Yung muscle na, frozen shoulders, di ba? Have you heard of that? Frozen shoulders meaning you have this tendency na masakit yung shoulder niyo po kasi na-exhaust yung siya masyado during doing household chores. Diba? To the extent you cannot extend, you cannot flex it well, so steady lang po siya na naka-curve yung kamay nyo. So that is now your frozen shoulders. But it is happening because of contractures. And next we have again, we're going to define it again. Weakness is the loss of strength or decrease in the strength of the muscles during contraction. So, parang nangangalay po yung katawan mo because of always staying in bed. Next is your muscle atrophy. Is the loss of muscle bulk or also known as the wasting of the muscle. So, as what I said kanina, liliit po yung mga muscles nyo because wala pong movement na nangyayari. Next is your pressure ulcers. Pressure ulcers are ulcerations of soft tissues caused by unrelieved pressures or shearing force over bony prominences, also known as detritus ulcers. So, we have defined it a while ago. And next, we have orthostatic hypotension is the drop of blood pressure greater than 20 millimeter of mercury as a result of movement to standing or upright position, especially if you were to do it suddenly. Okay, so dapat pag matindog ang patient, first when lying in bed, you are going to perform or have this faller's position or with the head of the bed inclined for at least 45 degrees. Or we have there when you're going to sitting position. So you have to sit first before you're going to stand and stand first before you're going to walk to prevent what we call just your orthostatic hypotension. And next is your constipation. Is the passage of dry hard stool due to immobility? Yes. So, kasi nga immobile yung client walang movement na nangyayari. So, if that's the case, there will be slow metabolism. Okay, slow metabolism po. And of course, you will have this, what we call as problem during defecation. O pag tumakay ka po, mahihirapan ka po because you're highly constipated. And we have pneumonia is the inflammation of the lungs as a result of always lying on the bed. Okay. Proper positioning and moving clients in bed helps reduce the effects of immobility. Dapat, di ba? One is you have to encouraging effective moving and overall body functions. So, dapat you're going to instruct your client na dapat naman you're going to perform this walking, before, and you should stand up and at least exercise. And do not keep on lying on your bed. And if you're going to lie on the bed, make sure that you're going to have a position, the prescribed position with your existing condition. So next is reducing excessive pressure on certain areas. So, diba? Especially those areas who happens to be painful, you have to reduce the pressure being exerted on that to prevent also your pain, diba? So, kasi dapat you would remember that you have to allow first the part to heal before you're going to create movement that might lead to his injury. Improving circulation and lung expansion, so by deep breathing and coughing exercise, diba? And by brisk walking. So dapat early morning mag-deep breathing and coughing exercise po ang patient. And promoting comfort and your rest. Okay. So next we have also your proper. So to prevent the occurrence of the Effects of immobility. You have to perform proper bed positioning. So clients who are able to move independently in bed should be encouraged to do so. Yes, if the patient is independent, so you have to let the patient perform the bed positioning herself. But if moving is difficult or impossible, the caregiver is expected, of course, to provide the necessary assistance. For those who are unable to help with the move, a useful device for moving or turning clients is the lifting or turning sheet. So in your bed making, it is referred to as your draw sheet or cotton draw sheet. So regular draw sheet or a flat sheet that has been folded into fourths may be used. But of course, you can have an improvised draw sheet. So you're going to have it sewn by the mananahe. So next, the turning sheet should be placed under the client and extend from the shoulders to the thighs. When you are ready to move the client, roll the edges of the turning sheet so you can hold it firmly as you move the client into a new position. So remember, where we're going to position the turning sheet, you have to position it from the shoulders to the thighs. But your draw sheet, cotton draw sheet in bed making, you will just only position the draw sheet on the center third part of the bed. So most likely, it may be starting from the shoulders to the thighs. When you are ready to move again, roll the edge of the turning sheet so you can hold it firmly as you move the client into a new position. The client who is unable to move should be scheduled for turning at least every 2 hours. That is to prevent pressure sores. A client position must be changed at least every 2 hours in order to prevent complications of immobility. Each time you turn your client, observe the skin for the changes or for any changes. Why? If there is redness, we have also if there is inflammation, it is the sign that you have to prevent the patient from having these effects of immobility. So what are they? So including your pressure sores. Each time you turn your client, observe for the skin for any changes. Immediately report redness, paleness, or white discolorations of the skin, particularly over the bony prominences, as this line may indicate a beginning of pressure sores. Remember that report for redness, paleness, or white discolorations. Bony prominences are part of the bones that is near the skin surface. So where are your bony prominences? Of course, your elbow, diba? What else? Your ankle, diba? And all the others. Your sacral area also. That is why you need to have a prevention of what we call as your pressure ulcer. So now is proper bed positioning will provide comfort and relieve pressure on joints and bony prominences. Now we're going to start with the several positions usually used, including your supine position. So as you have seen, the picture is a patient lying on bed performing a supine position. So remember the foot, huh? Okay, in this position, the client lies on his or her back with the bed flat. A small pillow is placed under the head and the shoulders. Arms and hands are on the sides with palms facing down. As an option, arms and hands may be elevated on pillow or folded towel placed under the small of the back as needed. Positioning devices such as splints, Handballs and footboards may be used. Okay. This position is used for sleeping and resting. And that is your supine position. Okay. And the next is your faller's position. So yan po ang faller's position ha. In this position, the client is in supine with the head elevated 18 to 20 inches over or approximately 45 degrees. In semi-faller's position, the elevation of the head is less than 45 degrees and we have also about 20 to 30 degrees po siya. So, in semi-fallers. But in high-fallers position, the head is elevated more than 45 degrees. A pillow is placed behind the client head or back. So, faller's position is used when clients are eating, taking medications, talking, reading, and watching TV. These positions also provides comfort and easy breathing for clients who have cardiac or respiratory condition. If a hospital bed is not available, you can use the sofa pillows or any kind of pillows that will serve as a backrest for their position. Tingnan nyo, we have 90 degrees, 45, 30, and then 0. So this is the picture of your faller's position, ha? Okay, next. Now is your side lying position or your lateral position. In this position, the lower leg bears the weight, while the upper leg is positioned so that it does not rest on the one underneath. Pillows are placed under the client's head. And then we have also between the legs under the uppermost arm and along the back. The lower arm must be positioned properly to allow movement and circulation. Take note of the lower arm. It must be positioned properly to allow for movement and circulation, such as what we call as coldness or coolness of the area, discoloration of the skin, and the blue fingernails. If the client complains of numbness, tingling sensation, and pain in the lower arm and hand, change those client's position immediately and then record observation. If the symptoms are not relieved within 3 to 5 minutes, you have to call for your supervisor. So you have to position, when you say lateral position, so side lying po siya either on the left side or the right side. So as you can see, saan po yung kamay ng client? So we have here the patient is having a pillow. And you may also have side lying without the pillow under the head. And then of course, one of the arm is under the other pillow. And then we have also the other arm is over the pillow of the side or placed on the side. And then you must also place a pillow under the knee of the patient. That is also to prevent the other pillow serves as assistive devices to prevent your what we call this bony prominences exposed to the surface, causing now your pressure source. Okay, next is the team's lateral position. It's also side-lying position, but the client lies partially on the abdomen. This position is used for taking rectal temperatures, administering enemas, and other types of treatments. However, some clients are comfortable in this position and it can be used to relieve pressure of the bony prominences of the back. The upper leg is bent and rests on a pillow. So, yan po ang picture ng side lateral position. The lower arm is behind the client. Pillows are positioned under the head and the upper arm. Okay. The client's head is turned toward upper arm. Observe for proper circulation in lower arm and your hand. And then your seems lateral position. So most likely seems lateral position is positioning the client on his left side. That is also advantageous that positioning the client on the left side advantageous to remove or to relieve discomfort of the client caused by your constipation. So again, that is your seems lateral position. So next is your prone position. Your prone position is the most uncomfortable position wherein the client places the client on his head and her abdomen with the head turned to the side. The feet may be elevated on a pillow or can hang over the end of the bed just to prevent pressure on the toes, and ankle discomfort. Yan po yung mga places na assistive devices or a pillow. That is to prevent exposure of a certain part with or having bony prominences to the surface. The feet may be elevated on a pillow or can hang over the end of the mattress to prevent pressures on the toes and ankle discomfort. The arms are bent and a pillow or folded towel can be placed under the head. As well, pillow or folded towel can be placed under the waist if needed for comfort. So, pwede din sa waistline po kung komportable yung client. The prone position may be very uncomfortable to some clients. Make sure that the position will not interfere with the breathing, speech, and vision of the patient. This position is not usually used unless required by the care plan. Okay, hindi pa pwedeng ginagamit yung prone ha, especially kung you're going to use it lang without any consultation by your with your doctors. You have to develop consultations. And then the next position is your lithotomy position. As you can see, para po siyang nanganak. In this position, the client is in supine. Both knees are flexed so that the feet are brought to the hips. The legs are then separated widely and the heels are resting on the footrest. The draped sheet should be placed diagonally over patient so that corner may be grasped and pulled upward to expose the perineal area. Okay, yan po yung position ng lithotomy ha, don't forget. Another we have knee chest position. In this position, the client kneels on the bed or table, then leans forward with the hips in the air and the chest and arms on the bed or table. You can place a pillow under the client's head. So that is your knee chest position, and this to reduce to relieve dysmenorrhea among patients. Another we have the Trendelenburg position. In this position, the client lies on his back. The head is lowered 30 to 45 degrees below horizontal. This position is for postural drainage. Well, the opposite, your reverse Trendelenburg is a position where head is elevated more than the rest part of the body and may be used for minimally invasive glaucoma. So, dapat yung head is much lower than the rest part of the body pag sinabing reverse Trendelenburg. Okay, next we have orthopneic position, a position in which the patient sits upright in bed position, possibly bending forward. Okay, that is your orthopneic position ha. So this is used to relieve asthma in your patient. Now we're going to continue our discussion with your assistive devices in proper bed positioning. So we have one is your pillows. Anyways, why is it that these assistive devices are very much important? Nga naman, because of course, it is a way to maintain good body alignment, di ba? Especially if the patient is what we call this confined in bed, he has to have these devices for him to have a what we call proper bed positioning. One is your pillows. So sa pillows, ulan. These pillows are placed under the limbs and joints to prevent pressures. Of course, your pillows we're going to if you're going to place it under your limbs, of course it will going to provide a space within so that the part of your body or the skin in particular will be able to breathe, diba? This is to keep the skin surface separate from the surface, okay? And to promote comfort of the patient, plus we have to increase circulation and going to provide support and to maintain correct alignment. So those are the functions of your pillows. Next is your trachanter rolls. Pillows or rolled towels can be used to keep the hip in a neutral position and not rotated. What do you mean by not rotated? Kasi pag comatose ang tao, so ang tendency, the legs are twisted already because the person has no control over it anymore. Plus, thinking that he is suffering from what we call stroke, so there's a tendency that she has also what we call as your paralysis. And then we also have your footboard. So footboards or any board attached to the foot of the bed. This is used to neither keep the feet in neutral position, not plantar flex, nor dorsiflex. So dapat yung footboard kasi, imagine that when you're going to stand and when you're going to lie down, the position of your foot during standing is the same as the position of your foot during lying down, especially in supine, particularly in supine position. So, parang ganun pa rin. So, your footboard, if ever that you suffer from stroke, there's a tendency that your foot would be plantar flex, or what we call as your foot drop. So that is why your footboard is very much necessary. Plus, of course, it is said that it is not plantar flex nor dorsiflex. Sa tingin yung dorsiflex, nakapiko po ang imong foot towards your knee. So, naka-position siya pointing the knee. That is your dorsiflex. So, dapat lang is neutral position. So, pareho lang kung mag-stand ka po. And then next we have, next is your high-top sneakers. So, this can be used instead of footboards to maintain the neutral position of the foot. So, we have to always check the client's feet for any discoloration. So, kasi sneakers po siya. So, the foot there is wrapped, diba? So, next we have to your high-top sneakers is your bed cradle. This is used to keep the bedding from resting on the client's feet and legs. You can use large cartoon or what we call this one as an alternative for your your cradle if ever you don't have it. So what will you do? I'm going to show you a picture of that. Kasi yung bed cradle, as it is said, it prevents now the bedding from resting on the client's feet. Sometimes pag may nakares na top sheets or whatever blanket sa foot niyo po is anong mangyayari? So, the patient will become uneasy. So, kailangan wala kang naka-touch na blanket or your top sheet sa foot ng patient. Just for example, if you're sleeping, di ba? Pag mag-sleep ka, in my case, I do sleep with one foot covered by a blanket, but the other is not. Feeling ko, pag dalawa sila nasa loob ng blanket, parang I felt like I'm not comfortable. So, kailangan ilabas yung isa. So, depende po yun. But, in this case, dapat naka-bed cradle siya kasi nga, dapat hindi po makarest yung bedding sa foot. And next is your hand rolls. You can use padded rolls or rolled washcloth that are placed on the client's hand to maintain the functional position. Anyways, I'm going to show you a picture later. And another thing, you have your splints. These are devices of cloth, plastic, and metal used to keep joints and hands in a functional position. So, diba, for example, your splints also prevents the part to be mobile, to become mobile. Thus, in case of fracture, it will going to worsen the condition your fracture. Okay, next slide, we have here the picture. So, we have here your handle. So, yan po yung handle ha. It will going to maintain the functional position of your hand. And next, you have also your pillows. So, your pillows supporting now your extremities, particularly the upper arm. And we have here your sandbag. Meron pong sandbag dyan yung so lower left. Okay, that is now your sandbag here. So, yan po. It maintains also or support your ankle. And this is now the picture of your footboards here. So, and you have the other one, your bed cradle. As you can see, that the top sheet doesn't touch your foot. Why? Because of the presence of your bed cradle. Okay, next we have your trochanter roll. So, yan po yung trochanter roll ha. Dalawa po yan. Both sides nyo i-apply. So, that is your, when you're going to extend when you're going to drop your hand, yung trochanter po is sa level po yan sa ng wrist joint nyo po. And then the last one is your splint. So, these are your pictures. Remember this. So, your splint does prevent the arm or the area to move. Thus, of course, pag prevent mo siya to move, so you are encouraging now your healing. Diba? Healing po. Okay. So we have here pictures now of using a trochanter roll and positioning of your lower extremities. So here of your trochanter roll. You're going to place it in your greater trochanter. And now the picture here in the right side, positioning of the upper extremity. Okay, that's it. So here we have a pillow and a pillow under the arm. And our positioning of the upper extremity, position 1, that is your pillow over naman this time your, under still your arm, but this time it is not, and the arm is in prone position. And other we have positioning of the upper extremity still. So as you can see, naka-straighten naman yung arm, pero may pillow pa din. Okay, next we have your positioning of the upper extremities, position 2. The same yan ng kanina, ha? Okay. So, those are under your bed positioning. So, remember, ha? We have different positions. We have your supine positions, prone position, side lying. We have Trendelenburg position, reverse Trendelenburg position. What else? We also have your Sims lateral position. Pag sinabi natin Sims lateral position, dapat you're going to do it in the left side. Okay. For another, we also have your lithotomy position. And what else? Don't forget to remember those functions of those mentioned positions. Just like, for example, your forward position that is used for watching TV or eating, diba? Another, we also have your knee chest position that is used to remove dysmenorrhea, and so on and so forth. So, example, prone position that is also used to relieve the back from prolonged supine position. Okay, diba? So, you have to do, when you're going to demonstrate, make sure you're going to utter or say it out loud, the functions of the different positions that we have been mentioning here in our lecture. So anyways, we will be sending you the demonstration of the different bed positioning, but of course you have to study it also by your own so that you will be presenting it to us after the demonstration that we are having through a video. Anyways, they were going to assist you in performing those positions mentioned. Now, we will proceed with the last topic of our basic disabled care 1. So again, we have now you are required to perform return return demonstrations with all these procedures mentioned. Now is your bed mobility. So bed mobility is activities from the word bed. So definitely the patient is lying on bed. Mobility, so you have to move the patient, diba? So you have to move the patient in relation to the prior to the activities that you're going to do. You're going to do to the patient while he is or she is in bed. So are used to adjust the patient's body positions while in supine position. So for example, you're going to perform something to the patient, and then the patient is placed at the middle of the bed. So one thing you have to remember in bed positioning, you have to make sure that the patient is, when you're going to leave the patient, you have to make sure that the patient is at the center of the bed. So the patient should be at the center of the bed. For example, pag nag-position kayo sa kanya, nasa left side siya ng bed at nasa edge part pa. So you have to position it properly, or you have to position the patient properly. And when you're going to do so, you have to respect the modesty of the patient. How? So provide privacy. So general procedures prior to bed mobility. So one is explain the procedures to the client. For example, if you need to bring the client to sides, so to the side of the bed, you make sure that you're going to instruct the client that, ma'am, we will going to bring you to the side of the bed, or we were going to go to this room. We were going to position you on the side of the bed. Ganun i-emphasize mo ni Mom we, because you need the client's cooperation while doing so. Hindi para hindi na ikaw lahat na ang mag-perform, kundi you will just going to assist the client in positioning herself. Okay. Or for example, pag hindi naman siya, let's say, comatose siya, hindi siya makagalaw, at least the patient would know that as to what positions are you going to bring her in, di ba? Hindi pwedeng basta mo na lang siya i-turn, hindi ka naman nagpapaalam. Okay, next is you have to wash your hands. So, SOP po yun, or your standard operating procedure. And then provide privacy to your client, so such as closed doors, shut drapes, and pull shades. As what I've said, you have to provide or ensure that the sense of modesty is very much observed. If client is using adjustable hospital bed, one thing you have to remember is you have to raise the bed to its proper convenient height para naman you won't be straining your back as a caregiver. So you may be earning a lot, but when you're going to retire from your job as a caregiver, of course, you will not, it won't be easy nga naman, because bugata yung mga pasyente, ang tendency mahapbak in Notre Dame na ka. So if client, and if worse, you will suffer from sleep disc. If client is using adjustable hospital bed, raise it to convenient working height. Lock the wheels of bed and push the bed against the wall if there are no brakes. So high You have to remember those things, ha? Lock the wheels. Raising the client's head and shoulders. So this is the first position, procedure. So one thing you have to remember, follow the general procedures in doing so, especially in bed mobility. And of course, you have to lower, SOP na po yun, nag-hand wash ka na, tapos nabing na po yung height ng bed sa working convenient height. And then you're going to start, follow the general rules. Yun po, yung mga sinabi ko kanina. Number 2, you have to lower the rail of the sides where you are working. Kasi naman, hindi ka naman hindi mo magalaw si patient, you will be having a hard time if the rails are up. Lower head of the bed, remove pillows, fold back top sheets, and stand facing the bed. Observe proper body mechanics. So, ask client to place her near arm under your near arm and shoulder. Client's head should reach to your shoulder. So, we have placed your near arm under client's arm and shoulder. And your hand should reach the client's shoulder. As to the picture that we're going to show you later. So, and of course, in the picture that you have in your handout. And slip your farthest arm under the client's neck and shoulders. Then count 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then you have to shift your weight from foot nearest to head of the bed to your other foot. Okay. Para to maintain balance. So, one thing you have to remember also, you have to widen your base of support. Support clients with arm lock under shoulders. Use other arm to remove or readjust pillows. Assist client to lie back on bed using lock arms and supporting neck and shoulders as before. Make sure client is safe and comfortable. Then after that, replace top sheet if necessary. Place bed in lowest position. Raise the side rails if indicated. You have to wash your hands. And of course, you have to check vital signs or before and after doing the procedure. Okay, you're raising the patient up in bed. So this is a picture of A. Ganyan. And then B, you have to insert your arm under the neck part, grasping out the shoulders. And ito na po yung picture na yun. Okay, next one, we have your moving client to side of the bed. So, to side of the bed. So, the first picture here, nasa center po si client. Then, ilalagay po natin siya sa side of the bed. Again, we have to follow the general procedures in doing so. Then we have lower rails on the side where you are working. Stand facing bed, observe proper body mechanics. Place one foot in front of the other. As you perform each move, shift your weight from your front foot to your rear foot. Okay? From your front foot to your rear foot. As you perform each move, shift your weight from your front foot to rear foot. Slip one arm under the client's reaching across to the opposite shoulder. Place other arm under the middle of the client's back. Then count 1, 2, 3, and you have to rock back and shift under segment of client's body to the edge of the bed. Place arms under the client's waist and buttocks, move edge of bed in the same manner. Place arms under client's thighs and lower legs, move to edge of bed in same manner. Align the client with place top sheet. Place bed in its lowest possible position. Okay, ito po yun ha. So, tingnan niyo kasi bakit naka-blockin yung kamay kasi meaning nasa ilalim po siya ng patient. And then next, we have now your upward moving of bed when client can help. Okay, so follow your general rules again. Lower rails inside where you are working and fold back top sheet. Lower client client's head and you have to remove the pillow. So prop one pillow against headboard. This will protect the client from hitting his or her head when moving up. So dapat may pillow po dun sa headboard ha. And stand facing head of bed, observe proper body mechanics. And you have to slip one arm under client's shoulders and the other client's thigh. So kanyan po sa picture. Instruct the client to bend his or her knees and firmly place feet against the mattress. On the signal from you, you have to client. We're going to push with feet and hands to assist with moving up in bed. So the patient now will be the one to push up using his foot. Okay. Move head towards head of the bed by shifting your body weight from back to your front. Several small upward moves may be used rather than one large move to reach head of bed. Okay, number 10, align your client, replace top sheet and pillows, and place the bed to its lowest possible position. Okay, do you have any question? So we'll proceed. Upward movement on bed when client cannot help. One, still, you have to follow general procedures in the bed. And then, in bed mobility, lower rails on side of where you are working. Fold back top sheet, lower client's head and remove pillows. Prop one pillow against headboard, the same pa rin. This is to protect the clients from hitting head when you're going to move him up. Be sure turning sheets is on position under the client's body. So pag one person, kasi supposedly ikaw lang po yung mag-isa maghano sa patient. That is why we have one person. Pero kung hindi mo kaya, so you'll be requiring an assistant. So that is how you're going to perform two person. Pag one person po, you have to keep sidewalls up, stand at head of bed, feet about 12 inches apart, 1 foot in front of the other, facing foot of bed. Roll top of turning sheet toward the client's head. Finally, grasp top of turning sheets in both hands. Use good body mechanics. Bend knees and hips and keep back straight. Okay. And then count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Shift your weight from front leg to back. Pulling the turning sheet and client upward to client upward. Several small moves may be necessary and are easier to do than one large upward move. So, hinay lang na mo siya po saka. And when you say two person, the same pa rin. You have to lower both side rails. So, dalawa kasi kailangan mo yung dalawa eh. Each person should stand at the side of bed with proper body mechanics. One foot is in front of the other, facing the head of the leg. We have raw sides of turning sheets. Close the client's body. Firmly grasp the edge of turning sheets with both hands. And use good body mechanics, bend knees and hips and keep back straight. Then of course you have to count 1, 2, 3. Both persons shift weight from rear leg to front leg, lifting the turning sheet and moving clients toward the head of bed. Several small moves again may be done and are easier than one large upward move. So ganyan po. And then of course you have to check the lower sheets from wrinkles, smoothen it, and if necessary, align the client's feet, replace the top sheet, and place the bed in its lowest position, and there's a time for you to remove all the necessary equipment na nabilin, and you have to wash your hands. Okay. Moving the client to the side to sideline position. So again, you have to follow the general procedures. So in bed mobility, remember, lower side rails on side of bed and where you are working. Again, we you have to fold back the top sheet because the top sheet is very much necessary for the patient. Move the client on the side of the bed, then stand on the opposite side of the bed where you are going to turn the client. Observe proper body mechanics. Number 6, you flex the far hip and make keeping foot flat on bed. Abduct your arm and place the other arm to the chest or abdomen. We have pulled now the client toward you by gently pulling scapula and the pelvic area at the count of 3. Mom, we're going to turn to sideline position. 1, 2, 3. And then you have to align the client, replace top sheet, and of course, you have to wash your hands. So in this example, the patient is already the patient is not aligned at the center of the bed prior to the procedure. You have to move first the client to the side before you're going to turn the client to side lying, so that you could maintain that the patient is doing it the caregiver is doing it properly. Okay, so those are all. So we have in your basic disabled care 1. Now, so again, you have to remember that out of this we'll be having quizzes plus of course your return demonstration. Okay, so return demonstration. After this, I will be sending videos to you so that you will be able to practice it while before your return demonstration. Okay, so we are done with your basic disabled care 1. Thank you very much for your time in learning. And then we have here, this is Irene Lim, your instructor for today. And don't forget to like the video, and then of course you have to subscribe. Okay, that would be all. Thank you very much and bye. Bye mga langga.